Now, I watched the New Year celebrations last night on television, although I didn't actually make it all the way to midnight, but I rarely do, so that wasn't anything unusual. And today, as we come together to start this new year, I want to say Happy New Year, but maybe that's not really what we're going for. So how about, I hope you have a joy-filled, meaningful year with some peace and some adventure, with some awe-inspiring experiences, and a good amount of relaxing rest. That is my wish for this year. But going into this year, it just feels like our categories keep getting scrambled. I mean, it's winter and it's dark, but it's not cold. We feel like we're hibernating already because of this new round of COVID, but there's no snow. We don't know what to make of this season, this winter, this year. Even while working on this sermon, I was listening to the thunder roll by with my dogs shaking at my feet. And then Friday brought tornadoes. Well, that's not winter weather. We are being promised some cold coming in tomorrow. But we don't really need the ice and the snow to know that it is winter, that the days are shorter now and the long, dark nights linger, pushing us inside sooner, hopefully encouraging us to really look inside ourselves, peering into our hearts and our habits before we rush into New Year's resolutions that we know we won't keep. This new surge of COVID is changing the way that we live our daily lives again. And I am not happy to be in an empty sanctuary, separated physically again. But maybe happy isn't what I'm striving for right now, and maybe I need to stop striving. Maybe instead be willing to slow down and listen for the wisdom that winter brings. Rainer Maria Rilke referred to winter as the season for tending the inner garden of the soul. He writes, "Suddenly to be aware that the very ground of my being, my mind, and my spirit was given time and space in which to keep on growing, to be healed again. For in the depths of winter, I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer." Catherine May, the author, uses the term wintering as a way of describing a different way of being in the world for a period of time. She says it's a fallow period in life when you feel cut off from the world, feeling sidelined and blocked from progress. Sometimes your winter may start with an unexpected illness or a major life event. It may come from a feeling of failure or just finding yourself in a period of transition, maybe feeling like you have temporarily fallen between two worlds. And she recognizes that everyone winters at one time or another. But we aren't raised to recognize this wintering, to acknowledge its inevitability. Instead, we seem to think of these times as something that should be hidden from view. We have to keep appearing happy. But we do this at great cost. For wintering brings about some of the most profound insights, insightful moments into our human experience. There is wisdom that resides in those who have been through long winters. Once we stop wishing that it were summer, winter can actually be a glorious season in which the world takes on a sparse beauty. There is something beautiful about the trees without the leaves reaching into the sky. It's a time for reflection, for recuperation, for a slow replenishment, maybe for putting your house in order, whatever that means, whatever that takes. I think the thing that we neglect to do is to embrace the darkness of winter as we are waiting for the light to return. And it's understandable, it makes sense that people are afraid of the dark. We are from childhood because, well, in the dark, we can't see what's coming, and we don't like that. We can't anticipate and prepare for what is right in front of us or what might be sneaking up behind us. We just long for the security that light brings. And our scriptures are filled with images of light, the light that guides us on our path, the sunlight that causes the plants to grow. I mean, long before we even understood that sunlight is the source of vitamin D that strengthens our bodies, the importance of sunlight for our growth and our health was already deeply understood. Our reading from the Gospel of John says that Christ, the Word, was present before creation, and the Word was the light of humankind. And in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. Now we understand that these opening words of John's Gospel are meant to remind us of that story of creation from Genesis. Resounds with those ideas. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless, void, empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that it was good, and God separated the light from the darkness and called the light day, and the darkness was called night. And there was evening, and there was morning on the first day. And then remembering this Genesis story, John writes, "All things came into being through the Word, and without the Word, not one thing came into being." Nicola Torbett invites us to consider these words. If all things came into being through the Word, then that means both light and darkness, along with all the infinite variety that exists in our world. All things possess the life essence that the Word incarnates. Light is not better than darkness. Both are created, both are blessed by God. God does declare the light good, but does not say that the darkness is bad, but instead the two make each other visible. Through that contrast, they are made distinct as night and day. Now, I think this is fascinating. Science always fascinates me. For our scientists now know that although stars make up 100% of the light in the universe, they account for only 2% of the mass. Then there's matter that is made of protons and electrons and neutrons like us, and that accounts for another 15%. The remaining 83% is dark matter. And that dark matter is responsible for the gravity that pulls together our kind of matter, that makes life possible. In other words, we and all other forms of life owe our existence to the cooperation of stars and dark matter, of the light and the darkness, of the clarity and the mystery that exists together. So as much as we need the sunlight to grow, we also need the darkness. We need the darkness for our bodies to produce the melatonin that is needed to sleep deeply, so that our minds and our bodies can rest and rejuvenate. While we sleep, our body releases growth hormones, so we need the darkness as much as the light in order to grow and thrive. We cannot function with sleep deprivation. We cannot live without the darkness. And we are all a mixture of light and darkness. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it, for the darkness and the light exist together. John's message to his own church, to a people who were tempted to despair because it felt like life was all darkness. Christ, the Word, from the beginning of time, has been bringing light into the darkness, bringing wisdom into our world, bringing truth to clarify our confusion. We need our summers and we need our winters. We need our light and we need the darkness in which to rest and rejuvenate. So this time of year, as we start a new calendar year, we don't need to despair, though the nights seem dark and there's so much to worry about. But we do need to give ourselves and one another a little time for wintering. So before you rush into making those same old New Year's resolutions, to exercise more and to lose weight, which are all healthy and good things to do, maybe spend some time embracing the darkness. Let the winter be winter without rushing into spring. Allow the darkness to provide its wisdom, to provide its rest and rejuvenation. So then, whatever comes, whatever this year begins to bring, together we can say, I hope that we all have joy-filled, meaningful year, that we have some peace and some adventure, that we each have some awe-inspiring experiences, and that we have a good amount of deep, relaxing rest. May this year be a year that encompasses all that is needed, and may we share whatever it brings together.